Every battle you will ever face, success, failure, discipline, love, fear, starts in one place, your mind. The greatest war is not out there in the world, it's within. What if I told you that the moment you master your emotions, you no longer become a slave to circumstance? You become a builder of destiny. Today, we uncover the mental discipline that creates unstoppable success. Every building you've ever walked into, every invention, every symphony, every empire, every movement, it all started with a thought. Nothing in this world was ever born in stone, steel, or sweat before it was born in the invisible realm of the mind. Thoughts are the architects of reality. The shape of your life, the results you live with every day, those are simply blueprints made real. Blueprints that began with what you allowed yourself to think, believe, and dwell on. If your thoughts are chaotic, undisciplined, or negative, your life will reflect it like a distorted mirror. If your thoughts are focused, definite, and backed with purpose, then you are laying the foundation for a future that's not only successful but unstoppable. There are no accidents in achievement. There are no lucky breaks in sustained excellence. Behind every giant leap in a person's life, there was first a silent decision. A thought deliberately held and persistently reinforced. Most people do not fail because they lack opportunity. They fail because they lack the right mental architecture. Their thoughts are scattered. They entertain doubt like an honored guest, give fear the keys to their decisions, and allow negative emotion to govern their attitude. You cannot build a palace of success using the materials of worry, self-pity, or indecision. You must choose stronger bricks. Choose vision, belief, clarity, and conviction. Those are the thoughts that construct greatness. Now you may ask, how do I begin to control my thoughts when they come so fast and without warning? The answer is, by becoming the gatekeeper of your mind. You must become ruthless with what you allow in. Just as you would never leave the doors of your home open to thieves, you cannot leave the gates of your mind unguarded to doubt, fear, or toxic influence. Monitor your inputs. What you read, what you listen to, who you surround yourself with. Every one of those things is planting thoughts. And those thoughts are either feeding your power or stealing from it. A person who masters their thoughts lives by intention, not reaction. They understand that every thought entertained is a command issued to the subconscious mind, and the subconscious obeys without judgment. Whether you think I can or I can't, the subconscious says, your wish is my command. So you must train yourself to think deliberately, to choose thoughts that serve the life you want to build, not the one you fear, not the one you've settled for, but the one you're committed to create. The truth is, your current circumstances are not the result of your past actions as much as they are the result of your past thinking. And your future will not be the result of your luck, but of your thinking today. So if you want a different future, you must start thinking different thoughts. Stronger thoughts, higher thoughts, thoughts aligned with discipline, purpose, and unstoppable belief. You don't get what you wish for. You get what your mind is conditioned to expect, and that conditioning is your responsibility. You must feed your mind daily with the thoughts that match your goals. You must replace every whisper of doubt with an affirmation of power. You must visualize your success until your subconscious believes it's inevitable. Because when the mind believes, the body follows, action becomes easy. Persistence becomes natural, and setbacks become fuel, not failure. There is no power greater than a made-up mind. When you decide, truly decide, that your thoughts will no longer be hijacked by fear or distraction, you awaken the greatest force in human potential. You awaken creation itself, and that force, when aimed with discipline, becomes the tool by which you sculpt your destiny. Thoughts become beliefs, beliefs shape behavior. Behavior creates outcomes. It all starts with the blueprint in your mind. So the question is not, can I do it? The question is, am I willing to discipline my thoughts until they align with the life I demand? Because until you do, nothing will change. But the moment you do, everything changes. Everything you see in the world began with a single thought. Before the skyscrapers touched the clouds, before the airplane took to the sky, before the light bulb illuminated the darkness, there was a thought. That's how powerful the mind is. It builds before the hands do. It creates before anything becomes visible. Your thoughts are not just passing ideas, they are blueprints. They are the plans your subconscious mind uses to construct your future. What you consistently think about, you move toward. Whether you're aware of it or not, every dominant thought you're holding is shaping your choices, guiding your behavior, influencing your energy, and attracting results into your life. You don't need to believe in magic or miracles. You only need to understand the cause and effect nature of your mind. Think fear long enough and you'll find reasons to quit. Think faith long enough and you'll find doors where others see walls. Most people allow their thoughts to run wild, untrained, undisciplined, and reactive, They believe whatever pops into their head, never questioning if those thoughts are serving them. They replay past failures. They imagine worst-case scenarios. They doubt themselves before they even try. And then they wonder why their life feels like a repeat of the same mistakes and limitations. But what they don't realize is that they are building their reality, brick by brick, with those very thoughts. The greatest truth you can ever learn is this: your mind will obey you, but only if you take control of it. If you do not take control, something else will. Other people's opinions, your past, your environment, your fears. But none of those things have authority unless you give it to them. The real power begins when you decide to take that authority back and train your mind to serve you, relentlessly, faithfully, and with clarity. You must become intentional about the thoughts you entertain. You must stop being casual with mental habits. A passing worry may seem harmless, but repeated often enough, it becomes belief, and beliefs become patterns, and patterns become your life. So when you feel yourself drifting into doubt or fear, don't just sit with it, challenge it. Ask yourself, is this thought empowering me or limiting me? If it's limiting, discard it. Replace it with a thought that aligns with your vision, not your fears. The mind is fertile soil. Whatever you plant there, it will grow. Plant seeds of confidence, persistence, clarity, and purpose, and your actions will reflect those. But if you plant seeds of indecision, fear, and regret, then those are the roots that will take hold. Your responsibility is not to avoid every negative thought, because they will come, but to refuse to nurture them. Let them pass, don't water them. Feed the thoughts that serve the life you've chosen to create. Understand this: nothing changes until your thoughts change. You can change jobs, cities, or relationships, but if your thinking stays the same, your results will follow you like a shadow. That's why real transformation begins in the mind. That's why success is first a decision, not just an action. When your thoughts align with purpose, with intention, with belief, then your actions become powerful. Your emotions become fuel, and your results become predictable. This is the reason daily mental conditioning is essential. Not optional, essential. Whether it's through affirmations, visualization, journaling, or reflection, you must train your mind the same way an athlete trains their body, consistently, repetitively, relentlessly, because repetition is the mother of mastery, and you will become what you think about most. The world will eventually reflect what you've rehearsed internally. People often ask, how do I change my life? Start here, change your thoughts. Thoughts become words. Words become actions. Actions become habits. Habits become character. And character becomes destiny. But it all starts at the root, the invisible foundation, the thought. The invisible always precedes the visible. And until you change what's invisible, the visible will always remain the same. You already have the power. It's not out there. It's within you. Your mind is not a cage. It's a compass. But you must take the wheel. You must decide what you think, what you dwell on, what you give energy to. That decision is where real freedom begins. That decision is where real power lies. Because what you think you will build. Lincoln lost. The moment you begin living by decision rather than reaction, everything changes. Most people are not living, they're reacting. Reacting to the weather, reacting to the mood of someone else, reacting to setbacks, traffic, criticism, and fear. Their emotions are like a ship without a rudder, tossed around by whatever storm rolls in. Lincoln lost. And because they're always reacting, they never truly lead themselves. They never take ownership of their direction. But the ones who rise, the ones who build, Lincoln ones who dominate their space, they make decisions. They decide how they will feel. They decide how they will respond. They decide who they are and what they stand for. Lincoln lost, and no outside force has the power to break that. You see, in every moment, you are faced with a choice: respond out of emotion or act out of intention. The masses respond to emotion. They let anger dictate their words, fear guide their actions, and anxiety drain their energy. Lincoln lost, but the disciplined mind understands something different. Feelings are real, yes, but they are not commands, they're signals. And just like a signal on a dashboard, Lincoln lost, you don't obey it blindly, you interpret, understand it, and then you decide what action serves your mission. That's the shift. That's where you take control. Success is not built on emotion. It's built on clarity and commitment. You must become the person who pauses before you speak, who breathes before you act. Lincoln who chooses response over reaction. That pause at that single moment of awareness, it holds the power to change your future. Because in that space between what happens and what you do next, your destiny is shaped. That's where leadership is born. Not leadership over others, but over yourself. People spend their entire lives trying to change external conditions. They try to control people's circumstances, timing, even luck. Lincoln lost, but they ignore the one thing they have absolute control over, how they respond. And when you finally understand that, when you truly own that, Lincoln lost, you stop wasting energy trying to bend the world to your will. You start bending your attitude, your focus, your effort. And strangely, the world begins to shift anyway, not because it changed, but because you did. Reaction is easy. It's automatic. It's what the world trains into you from a young age. But decision, real, conscious, powerful decision, is rare. It requires presence. It requires that you don't let every emotion drive the car. You can feel it, acknowledge it. Lincoln lost and still choose the high road. That's strength, that's maturity, that's mastery. When you make decisions from a grounded place, Lincoln lost, you stop living like a victim and start living like a creator. You don't wait for the right mood to show up. You choose it. You don't wait for motivation to strike. You decide to act regardless. That level of personal authority builds momentum, and momentum builds confidence, and confidence compounds into success. You must also understand this reaction keeps you in the past. It's built on old patterns, unresolved pain, and outdated programming. But decision pulls you forward. It draws power from your vision, your purpose, your values. When you decide, Lincoln lost, you're no longer trapped by the old version of yourself. You're stepping into the new one. It's the difference between repeating cycles and rewriting the story. To live by decision means to lead your mind, not follow it. It means you become proactive with your energy, intentional with your words, and deliberate with your habits. Lincoln lost. It means you no longer allow the outside world to dictate your inner world. And when that happens, you become dangerous in the best way. Because now, Lincoln lost, you're no longer controlled by circumstance. You are the one shaping it. When you respond with purpose instead of reacting with emotion, you separate yourself from the crowd. And in that space, you gain an edge, not because life becomes easier, but because you become stronger, more focused, more anchored. You move from impulse to intention, from noise to clarity, from chaos to command. This is not a one-time decision. It's a practice. Every day, every challenge, every trigger is another opportunity to lead yourself. Lincoln lost, and the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. You stop being pulled by everything around you, and you start moving with conviction from the inside out. Lincoln lost, because when you stop reacting and start deciding, you take back your life. Nothing of lasting value is built overnight. Not strength, not skill, not character, and certainly not power. Power isn't something you stumble into one day. It's something you earn through repetition, through discipline. Lincoln lost through the unseen work of conditioning your mind day after day. You don't become mentally tough by accident. You become mentally tough by intention. By waking up each day and feeding your mind thoughts that align with your purpose. By deciding again and again to focus on what you want to build rather than what you fear losing. And when you do that consistently, power stops being temporary. It becomes permanent. Most people misunderstand strength. They think it's a reaction to crisis. They think it's something you summon when the pressure rises. But real strength, true mental power, is not reactive. It's not based on adrenaline. It's based on preparation. Just like a fighter doesn't train the day of the match, you don't build mental strength in the heat of adversity. You build it before, quietly, repeatedly. Lincoln lost until it becomes who you are. That's what conditioning is. It's not habit. And this is where most people fall short. They're inconsistent. They do the right thing once, maybe twice, and expect a transformation. But the mind doesn't respond to occasional effort. It responds to persistent instruction. Lincoln lost, you must train your thoughts like a soldier trains for battle, daily, deliberately, and without negotiation. Lincoln lost. The thoughts you feed yourself every day are either making you stronger or making you weaker. Lincoln lost. And the difference between success and failure is often just too stuck with the process longer. Lincoln lost. You can't expect your mind to serve you under pressure if you haven't trained it under peace. You have to prepare for pressure before it arrives. Lincoln lost. That's what mental conditioning is about. It's the daily practice of building resilience before you need it. And it comes through repetition, through affirmations, visualization, reading, journaling, reflecting, and setting your internal compass. Because the world will try to knock you off course. Lincoln lost. But if you've conditioned your mind properly, you won't sway. You'll remain steady, anchored in discipline. Every time you repeat a thought, Lincoln, you reinforce a pathway in your brain. That's not just philosophy, it's biology. Your brain wires itself to what you rehearse. Think about that. Lincoln lost. What you practice mentally becomes your default reality. If you consistently rehearse weakness, failure, or indecision, you're training yourself to fold under pressure. Lost. But if you rehearse focus, clarity, determination, and grit, then when the challenge comes, you'll rise. Not because the situation is easy, but because you're ready. Lincoln conditioning isn't glamorous. There's no crowd, no applause, just you and your thoughts. But that's the arena where champions are made. Lincoln lost. When you do the work no one sees, you earn the results everyone admires. And it's not about doing everything perfectly. Lincoln lost. It's about staying committed to the process even when you don't feel like it. Lincoln lost. That's what turns ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. The decision to show up for themselves every single day. Lincoln lost must understand that the most dangerous enemy you'll ever face is not outside of you. It's the undisciplined mind within you. The mind that tells you to give up, to play it safe, take shortcuts, to settle. That voice is loud, but with consistent conditioning, your stronger voice, the voice of reason, of purpose, Lincoln lost, of strength, gets louder. And eventually it takes the lead. That's when the shift happens. That's when you stop reacting to life and start commanding it. Don't wait for motivation to do this work. Motivation fades, but conditioning builds a baseline. It creates a foundation you can stand on, even when motivation is nowhere to be found. That's the difference between amateurs and professionals. Amateurs rely on moods. Professionals rely on systems. You need a system for your mind, a ritual. A daily practice that fortifies your beliefs, sharpens your focus, and reminds you who you're becoming. It won't be immediate. It won't be easy. But it will be worth it, because over time, consistent mental conditioning becomes identity. And once it's your identity, it's permanent. Lincoln lost. You don't have to think about being strong. You are strong. You don't have to act like a leader. You are a leader. That's the power of conditioning. It rewires you at the core, because when you train your mind consistently, you don't just change your habits. You change your future. Lincoln lost. Now you know the truth. The life you want, the discipline you seek, the peace you crave, the success you dream of. It all begins and ends with the mastery of your own mind. Lincoln lost, not someday, but daily. Every thought you choose, every emotion you direct, every reaction you interrupt, and every belief you reinforce. That's where your power is built. It's not found in the external noise, but in the quiet moments when you choose to lead yourself. Control your mind and you will control your life.